All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We could stand up and look at the flag in the hallway with the Grand Old Army as our flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you remain standing for 30 seconds, I'd just like to say, rest in peace, Harold Estee. Harold was a character. He was in Londonderry for a long time.
Who?
Harold Estee,
Oh, yeah, this, okay.
the mill, this
Estee
sawmill.
Yeah.
Yep, Estee Lumber. He passed this week, and he was a character, and he'll be missed.
What was his first name?
Harold.
Harold, yeah.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't know that. Good move, Kath.
Hey, he's been a long-time resident. He deserves it.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so Frank, you want to send me down
We didn't get an agenda?
send me down an agenda? I can almost remember it,
This one has crinkles.
but we're gonna do, that's okay, I'll take the crinkles.
Crinkles, you're okay with
Um,
crinkles?
So let's get into, public comment. Let the record show that there's nobody from the public here. I'm going to appoint Ray as a member of the board for voting if is necessary due to the, fact that we are down a couple members.
Kathy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but in all the papers that I passed out before I went to make copies.
They're going around.
My notes were in there too, that on my discussion with Mike, so I think it might be right there. No,
The
it might
package
be-
that Derek had.
Yeah.
Oh, is it in this one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
John,
No, it would have been a separate
Ray,
one.
you
Thank
have an
you.
agenda?
Someone's
I
gonna
did have.
the written copy.
Okay, so let's get on to old business.
I'm all
We had decided to break into subcommittees. Since Ann's not here, we can't get her report on the foundation, and my guy can't make it until next week. So we're gonna put the foundation on hold until the August 15th meeting. The foundation is key, but I think we can keep moving around until we get the word on the foundation. Because if we get the positive word on the foundation, then we're gonna be moving forward. So I'm gonna, Larry or Derek, which one
Yeah,
wants to
yeah.
give the report about what you guys did?
So we were looking for help because called multiple times to the town inspector and left a voicemail and still have yet to receive a call back for us to get in there. So we're wondering if we could get help contacting him
Absolutely.
and kind of pushing him to reach back out if possible.
Absolutely.
All right,
I think one of them is actually on vacation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get nailed it, we don't want to get key.
Appreciate it.
but I think we need to get in there
So you
because,
didn't hear anything back?
No call back, nothing.
Huh.
Which,
All right, I
very unusual.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what's funny though, as Ray said, I haven't seen them, so it could be vacation, I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
I was assuming it was all, but when I talked to him, very encouraged, like he's, anything that he can do to help and assist. So
Perfect.
I'll check first thing.
since both of our committees are in kind of hole, but I think we should continue to pursue and definitely try to all have reports for the 15th.
Yep.
Because as you can see in our packet that is available on the town website under the Reverend Morrison Meetinghouse Committee, is the email from Mike Belaguti talking about the facility from Brian Johnson, talking about the rules for what is it? I almost said ADHD. I'm ADA compliant.
ADA.
Yeah, and so that you guys, everybody can get an idea of where we're going. My goal is to try to have no later than the middle of September, the plan outlined, and start to go out to the bidding process. Because if we don't get out to the bidding process and get an idea of what this is all gonna cost, we can't present in my opinion, to the
Yeah.
council.
Yep.
You know, like, is it gonna be a $300,000 project, is it gonna be a $1 million project? So, that's where I stand. Does anyone have any other discussion for
Yep.
old business A and B?
I'm sitting around feeling useless, so I thought that I would find out what, looking at the Weston Sampson report, they estimated that, we're talking about the floor now, they estimated that it would be somewhere around $225,000 to rebuild the floor without a whole lot of specifics. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to get a hold of the contractor that gave him that number? But I had no idea who that was, so I emailed Dave Wally, who was kind enough to send back. He said that Weston Sampson really doesn't have a specific contractor on the floor situation. They do enough engineering for all of the processes that they're in, that they brought this amount literally out of their files and such to do it.
Mm.
And I said, well, it's frustrating because
So this is an
it would have
assumption.
been nice if we could land one of these contractors and get the ball rolling and starting with a figure involved. But then he mentioned that in his email that the preferred plan that he was looking at was pouring a concrete slab directly under the floor, and so that obviously nothing would ever fall down or damage any of that from that point on. I can give you his email if you want, but that's the only progress that I made, which isn't much at all.
I think that-
John, I would like that to be included in the minutes for the next meeting, the email and your response, okay? Right?
It's very important.
Excuse me.
No, I just said very important one.
Yeah.
You just, very
Look,
good.
I wanna say something here, and that is that I have viewed what was done in the past, and there's really serious issues that mean that a lot of this is gonna, if it's gonna be done right, is gonna have to be ripped out of there. Okay, I'm talking about the foundation, okay? I know Dave is talking about putting in cement, and I'm not saying that's not a good idea, but this demolition of some of the stuff that's in there is gonna be a cost in itself, okay? So I think that it's very important that we get a building contractor that is totally familiar with old buildings, okay? And I think we discussed that, okay? Because what I saw, and I'm not an engineer, what I saw, what was done that repair, was not, in my opinion, not very good, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was written up, it was, an engineering group wrote it up as to how they felt it should be done. But, you know, some of it is like where the new lumber that they put in there that met the old hewn beams, it says there's not supposed to be any shims in there. It's supposed to be a solid connection. And you can see from the pictures that they just put a white pine shims in there. That's not acceptable, and it's not going to be good to spend a lot of money putting a new floor in on top of that, okay?
Well-
So maybe that should be completely taken out of there, but that's going to be a cost in itself.
Well, my understanding was that the town spent $80,000 on that floor the last time. Now, I don't understand why we spent $80,000 when you look at the materials that are in there. Derek, what would you say, 2x8?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they can't support anything.
No, especially the way they are
With huge spans,
too.
right, going that way.
And they're not even pressure treated lumber. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
that
about.
doesn't matter, Ray, because, they would be getting enough air, they're not touching the ground, so they would be okay without pressure-treated lumber. Trust me, I have a 1977 house, a 1770 house with a dirt floor, and there's no pressure-treated lumber on the floor. It is on the sills,
I'm talking
and
about,
that's
I'm
where
talking
it
about
is.
in the dirt.
Right, and that would be the only part of the building that would be touching the dirt, would be the foundation cells. And, so anything along the floor, as long as it's not touching the dirt, you can get away with just regular lumber. So, I mean, so.
I'm concerned about the level of the floor, that's what we're concerned about, that it is now sinking
Well,
or
it would be
whatever.
leveled, part of my understanding here is if the foundation is right and good, we're going to move forward with probably putting correct me if I'm wrong, cause you're construction, LVLs in there for support, and then put the flooring correctly. If the rot is not bad along the sill, I would say we'd be okay, but I would love to figure out a way to replace that, because if we could get pressure-treated wood all around that whole building that's touching the foundation, then we'd be in really good shape.
Exactly.
The other thing is, I think you all need to take a look at the foundation, okay? There are pictures of it, there are all pictures of it from the inside, okay? And I think you all need to take a look at that foundation before you make decisions on how much money you're gonna spend
That-
building on top.
I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I
Yeah.
said exactly at the beginning of the meeting, that everything's concurrent on the foundation's
Absolutely,
stability.
absolutely.
And actually, I would like, and I'm sorry, I should be opening it up to all of you and not me, but I'd almost like to see the town rip a hole into the existing floor, so we can get down in there and look inside.
And see what's going on,
Mm.
whether it's cement or.
And I'm not talking about a big one, a 6x6 or an 8x8, and just rip the floor up so everybody can get in and look down. Because it might make sense, we go from the floor to the foundation versus
From the outside.
side, right?
Yeah, yeah. You could do it right where the sink, call it sinkhole, already is,
Is,
right? You know,
right,
because it's not, that's not supporting anything in that center area, so if you get right down in there and it's a big enough space that we could all kind of get down in there and look.
And see what's going on. Is that something that you think, like Nick or Dave Wally?
Yes,
Because-
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's
See,
an easy
And
demo.
that's what
Definitely.
the resource I think we need to use, so
Yeah.
that's a great
That would be,
idea.
that would be an easy demo,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be
Right,
big.
big.
Everybody can get in there
Wouldn't
and look.
cost-
Yeah.
Right, that's a phenomenal idea.
Derek can go in there and look and
Right.
see how poorly the support system was
Exactly.
instantly by seeing that.
That's,
Because we're gonna gut it out enough to see what materials were used.
because right now we're kind of speculating on
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
You know, we're
So
spending
this
a
will
lot of
give us,
time.
this
Yeah.
will give a, I think will give us
I
an
love
opening
that
to get in
idea.
there.
Yeah.
To get it, all of us to get a view of what we're dealing with. We might not see everything, but it's a start.
Yeah, yeah.
How would you get this view? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I would rip the floor up,
yeah.
cut out a hole in the
Yeah.
Existing floor, because it's no good anyways.
It's gonna.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
already,
Good idea.
already
But
got
Why
a big
not?
bow in it.
But I think before you do that, you want to take advantage and just take a look at the existing pictures that show all it taken
Yeah.
out, what they put in there for material. Now, what has happened since then, we really don't know.
Right.
That's true.
And I think this would also give our foundation person a better
Yes.
view of
Truly.
what is going on.
The
So,
pictures
Ray,
of-
how did, you guys you and Ann got access to those
Yes.
files? Or
Wait.
how do
Ann- All you have to do is go to the building department
Okay.
and ask for it. Even if the building is, well, one of the building inspectors is there anyway, okay? One of them was on vacation, I think he's coming back Monday. But
Right.
they will gladly share the information with you, okay? They have a file, they will bring the file out. You can't take it out of the building, but you can take it to a room and you can
Can we
view the whole
can we
thing.
get a
You can
copy?
take pictures of it, whatever you wanna do.
Ask, huh?
Well,
Sure.
what I was wondering is it practical to scan some of the more important images?
You can scan them.
No, I mean, as a group, to make it part of the package that we,
I just asked Sherry if she could get a copy of it,
And
Okay.
the entire file.
Here's like that's from the report itself, but there
This is
is.
just so totally inaccurate.
yeah.
I mean, well, I shouldn't say inaccurate, totally under.
Right,
Oh,
I guess.
okay, where did that come from?
That's from
This
Weston.
was out of the
That's
Weston report.
Oh, out of the Weston report?
Yeah.
Oh, can I see that?
You're talking about what the town already has, Ray, right?
So,
We're
when
ta-
the repair was
Yeah,
done.
right. I
Right,
like
and
that.
I like, and
Yeah.
that will give us a history.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate to say this, I love Janos, don't get me wrong, but he's a road
So-
civic
right, yes,
engineer.
truly.
He wasn't a structural or
Right.
construction, and that's a totally different beast on its own.
And I think, kind of going off what everybody's saying as well, right? So the Weston and Sampson too, right? They're a GM really, right? Like they will manage the entirety of the
Yes.
project. So they're tacking a fee on top of the fees already. So if we, as a team, which I know we're planning to do anyway, go direct to like your contacts and whoever else we need from a electrical standpoint or the fire suppression and all that stuff, and go to them direct. Yeah, there's still gonna be money spent, right? But we're gonna save a lot of money and not pay their management fee, because they tack, I've worked with these guys a lot when we were building new facilities at all the places
They
that I
tack
used
a
to
lot of
work,
money on
and they tack a lot on every single line item.
Probably about 100,000.
Yeah,
And by the way,
Yeah, they're in
I
this to
think
make
we've
money.
already,
exactly,
Right.
I think we've already spent about $70,000 on Weston Sampson for this.
right.
Well, that was 54, that was the number I got. That report was 54,000. So that paid for the fire's enunciation system.
Yeah, because as you were passing this around, I was looking at this and reading through this, and that is, I don't know if Code Red, is that the same company? Does anybody know that they use at all the schools too? Because I know that whatever the schools use, they give the town a pretty decent, I don't want to say
Oh.
discount, but I know from reading in the papers and stuff that they've always done well by the town, just due to the fact that they do all the schools. So maybe if we continue to work with it, if this is them or whoever it is, they can continue to help us out with the fact that, saving some money. I don't think this is a crazy dollar amount, but, this isn't even including the actual sprinklers themselves.
Right, that didn't give much of a estimate of how much the sprinklers were gonna cost.
Exactly.
It just gave us what the needs were.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, because this tri-state is it's called 99,000, and that's outside of the scope of the actual system itself.
right. And I was kinda thinking, I don't know, where is Tri-State located?
Derry.
So I didn't know if another bid had been offered to New Hampshire, who's in Londonderry. There's quite a few sprinkler
Yeah.
systems people around.
Yeah.
So maybe, they would wanna do 10% off or 20% off because they're a local to help us.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
For what it's worth, Code Red is, I live at Forest Hills, and they monitor the clubhouse,
Okay.
and they come in once a year to check things over and alarms and.
so maybe they are
So
the
they're
towns.
established.
Could be,
company.
yeah.
But I think Derek makes a great point that, maybe they could work with us and give us a better cost. But I'm almost thinking too that the sprinklers are only for more people being allowed in the building. So it might, if we can hit the number right and include the sprinklers, then great. But if we have to push the sprinklers into phase 2,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
perfect, that's good. Because Mike used the word chip away at, like we kinda
Right.
need to chip away at the repairs. Get us in there first, get the building viable again, and then what's our next phase 2? And that's what you said initially, Kathy, when, you presented to the council. And I think that's very reasonable, because the sprinkler system's probably, if it's 100, it's probably gonna be 75 even, with the
Oh, I'd say it'd
system.
probably go up by 10-15% in
Yeah.
today's market.
Yeah,
If it's
'cause this-
100, so it's probably
Yeah.
115, 120 now.
Right.
Yeah, because this was December 23.
And hopefully we
that
can
this
get
was
someone to
originally.
want the project as much as we do and
Right.
give us a good price.
Yeah.
Some goodwill.
Yeah, and going direct is going to save us a lot of money rather than hiring a project management company
Right,
to
exactly.
tack on all their fees.
Larry, do you have any more?
No.
John, do you have anything else to add to this discussion?
No,
Frank?
No, all set.
All right, do you want to move on to approval of the minutes, or do you? Okay, so, John, in the action items, we keep pursuing our old business subcommittees. Sherry is, for the notes, Sherry is gonna contact planning to try to get them to get in with Derek and Larry. I'm gonna keep moving, Ann's gonna keep moving on the foundation. We're gonna get you to see if you can get us a copy of the town's file on the Lions Hall.
Ray saw.
Right, well, Ray and Ann looked at, if we could get a copy for the committee of the whole file. Did I miss anything?
Derek, when you were talking about no one responding, it was from the planning department or through the building department?
The building department.
That's, I thought, I wanted to make sure I interpreted it right.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
that's what you were
yeah,
saying, because I was talking about Nick, and then when we were saying planning, that's, you know,
Yes.
a different group. Okay, perfect,
Yes.
so I have it, my notes for Nick
Thank
and
you.
Brad, good.
You put a stake in the ground around mid-September to be in a position to go out to bid on some of this stuff, so you got that for minutes, I'm assuming.
Oh, good point, too.
Yeah, that,
One more time, Larry, I'm sorry.
Kathy had put a stake in the ground around having, being in a position in mid-September to
Right.
go out to bid.
Got that,
So I just wanna make sure we captured that.
that we do.
Okay.
And then Ray, if you're agreeable to it, maybe you and I can set a time, because I'd rather go up to planning with you, or
Sure.
just so
Oh,
that,
that's
because
fine.
you saw it, so I don't wanna get the wrong parts, you know, and they wanna see what you saw, so we'll do it together, so I don't miss
Oh,
anything.
that's fine.
and
Okay.
the only thing, I just thought of this now, and I'm sorry, before we move on to the approval of the minutes. There was a statement made on the night we were all getting interviewed that the support beams had been taken out of the floor and thrown in the dumpster, and Ann Champa and Jim Butler took them out of the dumpster and put them at the Historic Society. I don't know how we verify that, because if they are at the Historic Society, they actually belong to the Reverend Morrison house, and they need to come back.
Linda Green might be a person that could help us with that.
I'm not sure how we find out
Yeah.
if those beams are intact and at the Historic Society, they need to come back to the Reverend Morrison
And
house.
we haven't reached out to Joe.
And we
yet.
have to be, and they can be incorporated back into the floor.
Yeah.
Did you say the beams, BEAM?
Yeah,
BEAMS,
Okay, thank you.
right?
Jim Butler and
BEAM.
Ann.
Yeah, but I think they were taken out for a reason.
No, they shouldn't have been taken out at all because they were support.
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, but I think.
I think they belong to the
Oh, that's
Reverend
fine.
Morrison
That-
house.
that's
We'll
fine.
see, if they're
Lines
tree
off.
trunks,
Huh?
if they're tree trunks and useless, then the historic company, but if they're full-length beams that look like the ones that there probably should have been in, if you look at that picture and you see the long, there should have been one in the middle of those. And if those beams are gone, these beams, right here, Ray,
Yeah,
and they're intact, they need to come back.
they are in these pictures, okay? I mean, and by the way, I saw them, and they kind of go like this. They were a relatively small tree that they,
I mean, if it's a
Took the
tree
bark
and it's
off
not,
and put
right,
them in
well,
there.
that's what they would do.
I mean, they were
I mean,
hardwood.
if they're crap, then we won't use them, but if they're like that in this picture, they need to come back.
Yeah, well, if they're down to the Historical Society, they're probably either in the barn, okay,
They're in
the
the
carriage
trail.
barn,
Or the-
or they're in the trail.
I think they're in the
Right,
trail.
but I'm just saying, if that is a true statement, then those beams need to come, any beams that are reusable need to get brought back to that building. I'm sorry. We're talking about preserving it too. And
Right.
part of its history has been extorted and robbed, so to speak. I don't wanna use hard, but it's been, taken away without anybody's authority.
So there's something in the middle with this that we
Right.
just don't have the information
Yeah,
on.
and even if they aren't usable, my opinion would be to probably bring them back, and you can put them on even if it's a piece of it or whatever it may be, put it for show.
Yeah, that's
Right.
fine,
Right.
that's
Right,
fine.
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
you could use it to
A
do,
corner, like,
accents.
yeah.
Yeah,
And in the kitchen or some other place.
yeah.
Be
Hey,
beautiful.
people do that all the time, and by the way, they're worth a lot of money today.
Mm.
They
So-
could be hickory,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got
Doesn't
straight
matter.
hickory,
It's
you
still
know.
part of the
I
building.
would bet, that Linda Green will have that
I wish I had
information
my
for us.
phone here, Ray, so you could see what I'm talking about. Because Steve and I spent 3 months ripping up that floor, and it's as level as can be, and we preserved every single beam in that building. And you can do it. You
Yeah.
just have to have the will.
Yeah.
Who's going to verify?
Right, that's it. I just wanna find out
Yeah.
if that's like a myth, a Londonderry myth.
Do you want to get the answer on that?
Yeah, I think it would probably have to come from
Perfect, from the town.
Mike from
Yeah,
the town,
okay.
because I don't wanna accuse anybody of
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
but I would like the beams back, because if, let's say we do
right.
decide to redo the whole kitchen as part of the phase, it would be nice to maybe have the beams exposed as accents in the kitchen,
Right, and if
or
they're
in
just
the
sitting-
entryway,
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yep, if they're
in the
just-
bathrooms,
Right.
or anything.
Okay, so,
All right, so approval of the minutes, did everybody read through them?
Yep.
I'm not gonna
Well done.
nitpick, I'm fine,
Right.
and if I do
I-
have anything, I'll send them to you.
perfect.
I had them,
I stole them back from you.
they were yours.
That's
But
what,
I had one when
Sherry, the
Sherry
first-
went out to get some,
oh, we had an
couple.
agenda, we didn't have the minutes.
I did send, I think, one packet down, but that might be where my notes.
So,
went to that.
Frank, do you have substantial changes, or
Do I have a what?
changes to the minutes?
No, I don't even have the minutes.
You now have
How
the.
can I-
Okay,
how can
so
I- how can I
there's no,
check?
you have no
We're
changes.
happy with them.
Derek, are you
For you.
happy?
I'm happy with them, yes.
Yes.
Larry, Ray,
Yes, I'm happy.
Well
Mary,
done, well
okay.
done.
I need a motion to accept the
I'll make a
minutes
motion.
as they are.
I second it.
Okay,
I'll
all those
second
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Chair votes in the
Um,
affirmative, Larry.
Larry was your second.
All
Thank you
right, so
very
the minutes are approved in a unanimous vote. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
we kind of talked about the plan of action then for new business. And that is September 15th, we'd like to start getting bids. I guess my question is, do you guys think we can move even if we don't have that information by the 15th, or are we at a stranglehold?
I think we could still get some bids on, HVAC, electrical, because even if we're not gonna go full bore all out in phase one, we can still have them. So I think we could still get a lot of those estimates just to have them on file. And whatever we're allowed to include, we include, and what we can at that time, we exclude. But I think we could still get some, quotes in all
Yeah,
other
Be
areas, yeah.
ahead of the game.
But
Yeah.
from your experiences, the 15th leaves us 2 weeks before the October 1st
The-
target date. Is that enough time to,
To get bids.
yeah?
I think we should
I
start.
wouldn't say for everything. If you're talking about just the floor or just the foundation, I think you could get those bids in time. Like even but where I'm at right now, we're trying to put an expansion on. It took like a month to get some bids back, and it's only because of the time of year. But I think if we get most of them done prior, and if we just leave one or two, I think we should be fine.
So should we come up with an active list of what we should try to get?
Well,
I think so.
I'll kind of defer to you on that, but I mean, it's kind of, above the floor, it's kind of hard to know until
We get-
the inspection takes place, and
Exactly.
I mean, we all did a walkthrough, and I don't have any expertise to say this needs to be done or that needs to be done.
Right. Yeah.
So let's say, for example, let's say we've determined that part of getting the building open is the kitchen. Can we come up with a plan of what we're looking for in the kitchen and get a bit of what, does that make sense for the list? That's what I guess I'm looking for, a list of what we
We need
make.
to bid on.
Right, what we really
Hmm.
are looking at getting done to get it open.
Okay, well, so what if we look at the initial use of the building, which we've discussed, making it a community center available for rental for functions. So what are the critical things that you need to support that? If somebody wants to, have a wedding there, or have some sort of a function, then the kitchen probably needs to be reconfigured in some way in order to
In that
accommodate.
I think if the
Correct.
restrooms, they said were
The restrooms,
in the
Uh,
report.
I believe in, I know during the walk around, he said something about the restrooms being non-compliant in some sense, but
Can I say something? I think it's really important that we check with the town and the building inspector, because we have to meet the town's code,
Right.
okay?
Right.
We have to meet the town's code, and what do we have to do to meet the town's code? I mean, okay, we're talking about the kitchen. How about we leave the kitchen just the way it is?
We can do that.
Just
Just leave it the way it is.
the only thing you do is if you leave it the way it is, it has to be a food brought in. 'Cause
That's fine,
yeah,
that's fine.
Right, I
That's
mean,
fine.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
when,
What-
Ray,
what-
that's my point, we need a list.
Yes,
Yeah.
Why do you have to have food brought in? I don't
'Cause-
understand that.
Because
We
it's
don't
a
wanna
new,
cook.
we don't,
We don't wanna
it's a
cook
new
because-
liability for the town, Ray.
yeah, and
I mean,
oh, sorry.
Frank, no, it's a liability for the town. And if they're part, so we have to conform
In
to
so
it.
many places now in events with food poisoning and inspections, people really don't want to bring in the massive you cook, I cook. It's really, they want to know that it's from an.
I mean, that's something in the list that we talk about,
Yeah.
but we've gotta put the list together. Like, I think we need to review, those stairs, I know for sure off the kitchen are dangerous as hell. Those will need to be repaired.
but we're not going upstairs.
We're not going upstairs.
No, off the kitchen on the lower level. There's a door outside from the kitchen that goes down to a stone block that's a drop from a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right. So that will have to be fixed.
Now is that, yeah, sorry, Kathy.
No, that's my point.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, let's try to come up with a list, like have it ready at our 15, everybody
But if it-
sit there
okay,
and think
sure.
and read the report and come up with what you feel is the key items for us to
Yeah,
get in
okay.
there. Ignore the floor, the foundation,
'Cause that's.
and the fire stuff.
And have this ready for our next meeting.
Yeah, because my personal opinion is, it wouldn't, I mean, Derek, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
bathrooms are expensive, but couldn't we just rip that whole bathroom out and put 2 unisex ones
Yeah.
that men and women go in, and we'd be compliant, because, and then we wouldn't have to use that little bathroom underneath the cubby, right?
Stairways, yeah, because I don't know what Londonderry's is, but I know that dependent on occupancy, there has to be a certain amount, but I don't know what Londonderry is. But
Oh,
I'm sure
that would
two
be a
would be
start,
perfectly
yeah,
fine.
right,
yeah.
that's a good start, and
And
they'd
they
be
could-
standalone
yeah.
bathrooms, and they could be used, one would be handicapped, and,
Yeah.
or both of them could even be handicapped for all I care. And they're unisex, where men and women go in there, because that's what most restaurants and buildings and everybody are doing now anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We have 2 bathrooms, a men and a women's, and a handicapped sort of in the middle of the lobby. Obviously, they're not pristine and.
Right, so that would be an easy fix for us to unisex them all then.
But the dumb question I have is, if you're talking about what's keeping the building from being usable again, in theory, the bathrooms are functional. They may not be what everybody looks at it at, I'd like to see it,
That
but
could be phase 2, you're saying.
they go for it.
Right,
Well,
so,
like-
but that's the list, and so you can say, phase 1, this is the wish list,
Right.
phase 2, if we have to push it
Yeah.
off. That's, my point is, we can't just keep having discussion
Right,
after
yeah.
discussion,
Just
we've
gotta
gotta get a
have
plan.
one.
Yeah.
Or there's no meeting, there's no chance for October first.
Yeah.
I think we have to get the main hall opened, and once again, going back to the kitchen, if you go by the town code, they're gonna say you gotta have a hood over the stove, you're gonna have to have fire suppression, and don't even go there. If you're gonna have an event there, tell the people you have to bring in your own birthday cake, okay? Bring in your own sandwiches, all right? And somebody can put them out, and the people can sit down and eat. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about getting this open in a relatively short period with a relatively short amount of money as possible spent. So
So your quest for us then is to each come up with a list of maybe 5 items, or even by phase if you want, like what I feel is important, phase 1 or phase 2, and then we'll combine that list and maybe have Derek really have the bullets of Derek. if
You can
wouldn't
put
mind
it in a
being
like a
contact, 'cause you
spreadsheet.
know the contract, and you spreadsheet it and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
reach out to the contractors for that
I
quote.
guess
Yeah.
my charge is that all of you go and come back on the 15th
Yeah.
of August with what you believe is the list that needs to be done.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect list to get us in there. Then you score it as phase 1.
Yep.
Phase 2, phase 3, and we determine what's all phase 1.
Yeah.
And then we start bidding right away.
Perfect. And we should be in the big room, and then we can do it on the computer. We can see the list, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Yeah,
Because we can sit here
yeah, we're
for
just gonna.
40 years and keep talking around and around and nothing's gonna get done.
Yeah.
But if we can go in there in October with a really well thought out plan, I think we can make some headway.
Absolutely. Mike did have another suggestion. He thought it might be valuable to have, like maybe yourself, Kathy, and Derek, or anyone who wanted to go into the next council meeting and just give a quick update, that we've met 3 times, there was a tour, not necessary, but he thought, because ultimately the council has the final say on the monies that are available, and if it's gonna come out of the ARPA funds, he said there's about 100 to 200,000 left there, but again,
That has
maybe
to
the
be spent
council-
by October.
Yeah, at the end of the year.
But
Yeah.
I wonder if it's okay if we commit it. So that's a question we'd probably have to ask that if
That's why it wouldn't
we
hurt to
came up
put it-
with
yeah.
a plan and we did have some bids and we knew some starting point, maybe we could say, hey, can we have those ARPA funds and
Right.
commit them right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe the next meeting to just.
I know they're on summer schedules,
Yeah,
so
so
it
is it
would
Monday?
probably be the September meeting? When's their first September meeting? Or do they have a meeting in August?
I think there's one, but I'll find out first. as
Yeah,
we
so
discuss.
find out what the date is in August, because I'd like to go into the council
It'd be-
after we come up with our list on the 15th. So that first meeting after the 15th,
'Cause then we have
correct?
something.
Anybody disagree with that?
No, that makes sense.
Quick question for everybody. Just tossing it out there as like a potential thought, knowing everything that I've been hearing from everybody here and in some of the planning board meetings and everything like that, how a lot of people in the town have been very like conscious about what's being spent and how much is being spent and everything like that. And even during the last round of votes, when I know like there was the pickleball, the water, and so on and so forth, and there was and then the school and a lot of stuff got turned down once it hit a certain amount. What would everybody think of potentially if the bid process goes well, which I think it would, getting a few different bids on a few different scopes of plans? So opening it up as a town rec center, or where you can be rented and everything like that. Opening it up for, I know that a lot of the people in that thing that was sent out, they were talking about having it be like the SAU office, and then some other people were talking about like a farmer's market or restaurant where it's constant revenue coming back to the town for rentals and stuff like that. There was a lot of like decent ideas that weren't completely far-fetched, and I'm wondering if we supply multiple ideas from a cost perspective, and then we're not sitting here putting a lot of time and effort into the town, the people in town, just saying, nope, I don't want that.
Right.
Because I feel like that we have the one in North Londonderry, we have the Historical Society down there that gets rented all the time for either pictures or weddings and
Very
everything
true,
like
yeah.
that. And I wonder if people in the town will come and sit and look and say, I don't need another place to rent for weddings. I do need a place for birthday parties and things like that. But if we give them 3 options, like they kind of did with Moose Hill, I know it still got voted down because there was a
There's a
second.
bigger number.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and there was a second section in there too. But if we can give them, let's say, just 3 options,
Right.
and because like I said, there was the majority ones on here were a rental center, the SAU, and then some sort of like a farmer's market, which I don't think we need in town because we already have Sunnycrest, we have Max Apples, we have Elwood, more or less like a local restaurant. And I heard somebody talking about that the other day because they were saying, you know, you have all the mainstream restaurants down in South Londonderry. You don't really have anything in North Londonderry besides pizza places or anything like that. You always have, somebody actually brought up specifically the Concert on the Commons. How awesome would it be to go to Concert on the Commons and there's a restaurant there where you can go after the concert or something? And then the town itself could pick and choose who they wanted in there to represent the historical piece of the town, right? I went up north and they had this old mill building that they wanted to preserve, and this local person opened up a restaurant in there. And when they did so, they kept everything looking the same, but also promoted, I'm going to say Sunnycrest because we're here, Sunnycrest, Max, all that stuff. They promoted everything that was historical to the town, and they also kept a section open of where some of the original stuff was in the town. Like we have the safe in there and everything.
Yeah.
And if we move the HVAC and all that stuff anyway, I'm not saying the restaurant's the way to go, but you know, just those type of options. And even if it is SAU, let's say, you keep that section available so when people go in there to do the school stuff, whatever it may be, they can walk in there and the whole front piece is like the beam that if we were to take it back and it's not usable, you have the safe in there, you have some of the old tiles that are still in there, and people can be like, oh my God, I'm looking at the town history while I'm here. Or if it's even a rental spot, you could do the same thing, leave that space so it's showable. But long story short, I think it'd be great if we had the ability to give them a couple different options so half the town isn't just like, nope, that's not what I want, done, and it's gone.
As you describe that, I'm thinking of a matrix where, you know, the construction elements are on one axis and the potential uses,
Yeah.
spaces
Yeah,
or go across
right.
the top.
Yeah,
And then you just check off if we go in this direction, then these are the core
exactly.
elements that we need to address in order to accommodate that.
Exactly.
function over there. Yeah.
Exactly. And then
The SAU idea, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. I just don't see.
And
yeah,
the
there's
only
so many
thing-
places for them. Oh, I
Right.
apologize.
No, I apologize. The only thing I'm worried about is if we get into SAU and restaurants, everything's off the table at that point. They're commercial. They gotta come to code, period.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no in
You know,
between.
Yeah.
I understand what you're
Goes
saying,
down
and
the
road.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that old mill thing, I know what you're talking about, I know
Yeah.
and it's a great idea, but an old mill with a water wheel is really cool when you're sitting out there and you're having something to eat, and, you know, this is a little bit different,
Agreed.
you know what I mean?
Agreed.
So, you
Definitely.
know, but there's a lot of things we need to look at, I agree, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the thing we're forgetting, and you're making a great point, and I like the matrix idea, and even going with the restaurant and everything, is because the pavilion's back there, and that's underutilized. So somebody could have a barbecue there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A barbecue, and a professional barbecue person comes in and brings all their junk and barbecue, and people go there and they eat, and then they can go to a. So I mean,
Or you
there
have
is
several
potential.
vendors, several
Right,
vendors, you know?
right,
Yeah.
right. So I'm saying we all forget the advantage that pavilion brings to that
That's
building
true.
for events.
Very true.
Well, let me just say this, aside from Concerts on the Common, the Arts Council has other programming we do. And, you know, we can certainly, work to, you know, make it more of a magnet for the community, you know, not just around concerts, but, we have one event that we don't do right now because we don't have adequate space to do it. It's a 2-day art show that we used to do at Max Apples when Andy still owned it. He was very gracious to let us in there.
That would be a
I've got a
perfect-
relationship with the New Hampshire Art Association. They're looking for public space to have rotating art exhibits.
Ooh.
And, you know,
Right.
that kind of a thing.
Kind of like
Yeah.
what the Grange used to do, like they had the
Yes.
craft
Oh,
fair in there,
That was
and it was so
nice.
cute, you know, you'd
It
go
was
into
cute,
the
it
little
was
Grange
charming.
and right, charming and nice, like a Christmas craft fair, or,
Yeah.
you know, and things, so there's a lot of potential, and
Yeah.
that's why I like
Yeah.
what Derek is saying is like, if we do this, it opens it up for these
It does,
abilities.
and exciting,
But
yeah.
I think we'd be willing to drive programming to support that vision of, you know, multi-use
Now we
facilities.
just
That'd
have to
be
get the
great.
building up.
Okay, so now,
Gotta get the building up.
I guess now the question is, who's gonna volunteer to put all this information together once we get it, because we probably need it for the 29th finalized.
Oh, so
I can help with
the
that.
next council date is the 12th, August 12th.
Okay, so I would say we go to the very first September one, because by August 29th, we should be in a good position to present.
Mhm.
And I'm going to use my chairman
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah.
I want you to present to the
Very
council,
good.
Okay, okay,
okay?
I appreciate it.
You and Larry can do it.
If you need something written up, that's in my wheelhouse, I can help with that.
That'd be perfect.
Because I want you to get all the experience you can, so you stay on
I appreciate
more
that.
boards.
Thank you.
This is exciting, we've accomplished a lot, like it just kind of came together.
Yeah.
Really good. So our next meeting, we will have a lot to work on.
That's why I'm kind of like, we got some homework.
Yeah.
We're
which
back
is
in
good.
school, everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
We all got some homework. And Ray and John, Ray, oh my God. Frank and John, being in the Lions Hall, we want your input too, because you guys have known a lot of what's done, has been done in there. And,
Will you?
well, you should, I hope, because you said that you guys did a lot of repairs and stuff. So it would be, I would like a feel of what you guys feel is sound, that you feel in that building sound. Like, I know you don't think we need to replace the kitchen. We might not need to replace the kitchen. All we might need to do is take out the stoves for just now,
That,
you
that
know?
was my thought, like, and I
And we
think
stick a
that they
counter
will-
there, you know,
Yes,
like
I
go to
think
Home
they
Depot and get a
will-
counter
Yeah.
piece and just stick it in
There's
there.
such a good
Right.
team that could do
Right.
that.
You
So-
can't take it out
No
before Old Home
cost.
Day.
Yeah.
Okay, but
We're using it.
but here's my point,
The
is
kitchen
that you guys have lived that building, so I'd like to get your input into what you feel is still sound in the building, so that we can all incorporate this and come up with the best
And
plan
as
of
part
action.
of their list.
Because if you spent money 4 years ago and got the kitchen all rewired, let's say the kitchen's all up to rewired and it only needs a little bit of an upgrade to get to code, that's information we need. Cause really, I don't think anybody knows what's been done in there.
Know the historic, yeah, just through the
Like
last few
what you
years.
guys have done
Yeah.
in the last 5 years to repair it or upgrade it or anything. I don't
That's
know if
probably
anybody
another
knows.
list that would be helpful for them.
Right.
Or
So
when-
if you
or
could
when they
provide
close
us
the
that
list.
information, like, I mean, I know you got some it says in the report that there's pretty,
But they had to.
it's pretty
They had to
good,
get-
the fire
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
It's not up to code, but all the fire, pole boxes and the lights and all of that stuff is in there. So I'd just like an idea of what, outside of the floor, what do you think the upgrades you guys have done?
Hmm.
What we did was try and keep the building functional.
Well, then that's perfect for the report, and
That,
that's what we're looking for.
Right,
Yeah,
and
'cause-
as Ray just
I mean,
said too, Nick
that-
should have like all the permits and all that they had to pull. Like,
You know,
Did you guys pull
Electrical
that?
permits.
both of them stoves are not brand new, but pretty new. The refrigerator's not old.
That's
And
new.
Roger Dykstra went through
So
that
that's
kitchen
what-
like,
But that's why I'm asking for you to give us a report of what you've done in the last 7 years
Yep.
to upgrade that building.
and that's
okay,
Good.
we can do that.
Isn't it nice people working together?
Hey, it's easy to work together when we've got a project.
We talk about all the stuff that
Nope, sounds good.
has gone through and then we'll
Plan of
write
action.
down the important stuff
Yeah.
and
Well,
shit can rest of it.
the, where the car goes off the rail is when you mention code.
Right,
Um,
and then,
Nothing's up to code in there, we know that. And
And we
there's
need
no
that-
way,
Because they didn't hold them.
there's no way we're gonna,
Shouldn't have brought
there's no way we're gonna convince Dave Rowley that anything is up to code in there.
Well,
well,
Nick will have a lot of, to
well,
help us
but
with
if
that
it's
too.
not up to code, but it's,
We want it to be,
we can pick away at it
right,
to get it up to code, that's what I'm,
That's,
right.
what I'm
Yeah.
trying
That's-
to
That's the
boil
thought.
down here.
That's the thought.
Cause once we open it, it needs to be safe and up to code,
Right,
without any exceptions, yeah.
right. I mean, once it gets open fully, yes.
Right.
But if we're just gonna get it open, 99 people, and we follow
Yep,
the
that's
rules,
right. And then our
and then as
phases-
our phases come in, that's the
perfect.
goal.
I think we're gonna have to look at the air conditioner real quick.
So you, see, so that's what I would like from you guys on the 15th, is you feel the air conditioner is ready to die.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
So that might have to be built in, like heat pumps or
That
something, you
was-
know what I'm saying? Or a whole new furnace, so it does air, and, so we need to know all of that stuff.
When did,
And we'll
when
get
did,
Nick
when
over
did
there,
Jim
hopefully,
Jones
you know, I
put that
can't
in?
speak for him, but
Pardon me?
before the 15th.
When did
Yeah.
Jim Jones
if
put that
you-
air conditioner in?
You could meet us there.
That's old as
Yeah,
hell.
yeah, definitely.
We
So I'm
honestly
just,
don't have much.
I'm just not here next week. But
Perfect.
besides that,
I'm in New York
yeah.
at the end of next week, so.
Okay. Yeah, I leave Sunday for Alaska, so
Very
Oh, good for you.
nice.
Yeah.
Aw.
Is it vacation or work?
vacation.
Oh, that'll
Very
be fun.
nice,
Yeah.
very- So we'll
Yeah.
try for the week after, and maybe Kathy, you could put out, if whoever wants to kind of follow Nick around, I'm sure he wouldn't mind, or maybe it might be better to just have a couple people so that he can not answer a bunch of questions, more just observe and look. Yeah, probably better to limit
And
it to
I
yourself.
think
That'd be
we
great.
asked Mike, and I wanna verify this, that we have a stipend budget of like 5,000 if we needed it for something right away, that we talked about that at our last meeting.
He's very open, and he
Okay.
said like for the bigger items that we're thinking, it would hopefully, if the council approved it, be the ARPA money, is about 100 to 200,000, that might be available there, and, you know, it sounds like we could have support on that.
Cause
And
I'm
then
thinking
other-
if we
yeah.
get a contractor out and they
Right.
say, I'll come, I'll do it for really cheap, $500, can we give them a,
Yeah.
you know, a
Yeah.
$500 stipend or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll do them for free and we don't
Right.
need it, but I
Yeah.
just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure we do have some availability to some funding.
Very, absolutely.
Because if Larry and Derek look at the electric and they wanna go get like what the Grange did
Right.
and get an electrician to come in and said, oh, we need 20 grand to do the Grange.
To have the ability.
Right, and then the warrant article went on for $20,000 to rewire the Grange, which passed, and
Right,
the
yeah,
Grange got
right.
rewired.
Right.
They might wanna say, well, thank you for coming out, here's a $200.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
And then I've been reaching out on top of like potential funds and stuff too. I've been reaching out to like a couple of the town businesses too that most of them I grew up with. So like the Correas, and then the Jersey Mikes. He went to school
Oh,
here
that's
as
true,
well.
I did, right.
Yes, I've been reaching out to. There's probably been a total of 15, but just to
Pat
kind of
Duncan
toss it.
Donuts.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah.
Right, I mean, just.
I mean, and
looking to
Yeah.
do
here's a
something.
perfect
Yeah.
example of, we could have a day where they all come and
Yeah.
just to give education on the project. I
Absolutely.
mean, it is getting cold, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's gonna get
Very
cold,
much
but,
so. 'Cause
you know,
of-
it's
yeah.
another, I think, the more we educate people on what the building is, I don't think people even know what the
No.
No, I don't
the
think so.
building is and the history of it,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Education is important.
Yes.
Educating the
absolutely.
general public, absolutely.
And they have money, like these different companies, that they're supposed to allocate for these types of projects in communities, but we just have to make them aware that we.
Yeah,
And I'd
yeah.
like to see if Mike could address Justin Campo
Yeah.
to go through our grant company.
Oh, you know, that's another thing Mike mentioned, that Kirsten will be on that for us with the grants as soon as she gets through Old Home Days, so.
Okay, yeah,
that's
so
on
we
her
can look
radar.
at that,
Yeah, very good
because if we
point,
can get a
Kathy.
decent grant and we have to
Yes.
match it,
Yeah.
then that gives us more,
Absolutely.
power to get
Right.
it approved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did bring that up too, which is really, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And then we were talking too about the idea of just the good old community, you know, old home day type of, like, I could picture a big, like, from 40 years, a big thermometer, like somewhere in front, where
Yeah.
people, and, you know, this company donated 1,000, and this resident, and this children's group.
Yeah.
And you just watch that red light, because there was so much excitement in that years ago, like good old united together, you
Yeah.
know, not
Right.
having to.
I like that idea.
They do.
Yeah.
I could just picture it, you know,
Yeah.
this very tall, we have someone build it for free, and like to just the excitement of being a part of that.
Yeah,
You
and I know that like a lot of the businesses around here are willing to back, I don't want to say anything, but you know anything that's for the
Yes.
community that has a good purpose, right?
Right.
Well, that,
To be a part of the
I'm
work.
wearing the shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
that's right.
exactly. So
Which was incredible last night, I might mention,
Yeah.
Larry,
That
you know, but,
It was
no,
kinda scary.
yeah, it was
How many
incredible,
people showed up
yeah,
in
how
that
many.
cafeteria.
But yes, you know,
Oh, you
there's
had
so
to
much
move it
out
in?
there.
Yeah.
You're
And
afraid of
also
storms?
it's something for the
Yeah.
community to
Yeah.
unite around, like our history and the celebration of that, and everyone working together, whether it's a little one with a piggy bank, you know, that we
Yeah.
wanna donate to that, or a neighborhood Kool-Aid stand or lemonade stand.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah, I think
I
we
can
could
help with
really-
that, cause I did sales and marketing for a living,
See,
and,
oh,
yeah. So that would be
right.
perfect.
so the reason we,
Boy.
you know, we raise the money we do is we have a consistent campaign every year
Oh, see,
out
that
to the
would be,
community. But the other untapped area that, we don't usually go near, we usually, just so you know, our budget this year is $45,000 for concerts on the Common. Only 9,500 of it comes from the town. We have a grant that we get from the state for another $6,000. The rest of it comes from small businesses
yes.
and, you know,
And
physician
that's all your
practices.
hard work.
But
Yep.
the
Feet on the
airport is an untapped resource with all the major building going on up there.
Mm.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's,
right.
there's some potential for some, we don't go after them because, you know, we like attracting people that wanna be in touch with the people on the Common, new dentists and,
Yes,
you know,
right,
they wanna be
yeah.
able to support
Yeah,
the people, but
right.
from a big ticket standpoint, I think there's an untapped opportunity to go after,
New Balance, I mean, that, you know,
Yeah.
it's many we could name
Yeah.
and keep
Well,
going.
I know that they're willing to pump a bunch of money into the sports fields
Right,
and
of
stuff like that
course.
already. Like they've already, I don't know what they committed, but I know that they've already talked about it and things like that. And then I believe you have Tesla going in over there
Yes,
too. or
there's
whatnot,
so
you know what I
many.
mean? There's
And then that's excitement, like that what we start here, it's homegrown, but then offering it to the community to help us and become part of it.
Yeah, and it's
You
even
know?
little things. Like I know when I was talking to Jersey Mike's, they were saying like, hey, you know, because there's a group of the guys that own it, not just him, and they were like, you know, we don't pick and choose, but what we do is you pick a couple days, and anything that gets sold on that day, you guys get like
You're
20% or
right.
whatever
I
it may
forgot
be.
about
So
things
even something
that.
like that is
Sure, chip
viable
away,
money.
chip away,
Yeah.
you know, and just
Right.
kind of the excitement of it.
I mean, I laugh, when I left Old Home Day, there was we got 10,000 from the town, and we were consistently raising 25,000 a
Yeah.
year.
yeah.
Kathy,
Yeah.
what you did single-handedly, which so few people will ever know, but you ran this entire Old Home Day show, how many years?
20.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know how you
Yeah.
did it.
But,
and one single-handedly, truly, you
and,
know?
and the thing we found was the goal was it was easier to find 10 people that would give $1,000 rather than one person to give $5,000.
Right, right,
Isn't that
right.
interesting, right? And I know
Yeah.
you'd wanna correct me that you were the single, like you mastered the whole thing, but you had a beautiful crew of people.
Oh, I
you
had a wonderful
orchestrated,
group of people,
Yeah.
but
but
the
you
key
were-
was-
yeah.
the businesses felt like part of the community, and I think we could generate that same, what,
Yeah, I
what
think
you're
that's
generating with
wonderful.
Concerts on the Common now, is when a business sees
Yeah,
the
that's
benefit, they're more apt to keep donating, and
Donating.
once you keep those businesses, more sees the
Wanna jump in
success,
and be a part
they
of the
wanna,
good.
and so it just keeps
Yeah,
building and
it
building and
does.
building and
And
building.
then they'll allocate it for each year to
Wait,
come and.
Speaking of the Common, we're not planning on having a booth on the Common about this, or?
I think it's too short
I think
notice for
we're-
it,
yeah, we're
and
kinda-
we have no
Great idea.
information.
If we had another 2 months, maybe.
I mean,
but-
right, I don't think we have enough information to, we don't know what we're doing yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
We're just here.
We're just here. I would, though, the town's having a booth, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, the Rotary is and different groups are.
Okay, so
I'm not sure about the town.
for education purposes,
Yeah,
can we get, well, I guess my question to you as the liaison to ask, and I know Kirsten's out straight, maybe it'd be nice to do, like she does, a lantern
Oh,
piece on the history of the town hall. And I mean, the old town hall, the
Yes,
McGregor meeting set, and maybe a little flyer with the Hall of History picture.
Yeah,
And I can provide the original, cause I have the glass negative that someday I'll donate to the Historic Society.
that would be interesting to
um,
get that,
The old days on eBay, when you could get everything.
yes, that's,
And people were selling stuff left and right. And just a blurb of what that building
the meeting,
is.
yes,
So people, when they look at it, understand its historic value.
right,
And that we want to open it to the public. That's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Is
I
its
think, yeah,
historic
absolutely.
function, and we're trying to bring it back so it truly becomes a meeting house again. We're open to the entire public of the
Yeah.
community.
You mentioned about pictures and glass plates, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a picture of it when it was in its original
No, I only have the day that, the one out there when they moved it, and they were at a town hall meeting, and
Wouldn't it be great to find one of those though?
I don't think you can, because I think it got moved in early 1800s, so,
Well,
they had a lot
took
of
pictures
money.
back then.
yeah, but it could have been broken.
Huh?
I mean, the glass, I mean, they were expensive, they didn't do much. I mean, they could have done it,
Yeah.
but I think once it got moved to the location was the last picture. Because if you look at that picture, the church isn't even there.
Before we move off the education aspect of Old Home Day, because there's activity going on at the Meeting House for Old Home Day,
Have
can we have
information,
maybe if we can put a poster together or something, I mean, people are gonna be there standing,
waiting
next
for
to the
your
building.
sausage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you
I'll
know,
ask Kirsten about that too, she's amazing at.
yeah, she's really good at
Yeah,
that.
she is very good.
But I mean-
And I'm not talking about, I'm talking a one-sided,
Yeah.
single,
Right, just
really,
told, yeah.
just a brief paragraph of when it was built,
Yeah,
it was
just a little
moved, it's our
something on an
reason,
easel.
right, on an easel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well,
And so while people are standing in line, they can read about it.
I like
Like
that.
you go to all those tours, those historic tours, and they have those little
Yeah.
boards all
She
over
might
the
even
place.
have
Yeah.
something.
People
'cause
read those.
Oh,
She
yeah.
did a couple open houses over there with Dave Wally, so there might be something. They had things on easels, I remember, so maybe we'll get lucky. But I'm gonna scoot here, I'm sorry, guys. But
Okay.
you wanna adjourn, do you, or are we?
Do we have any more? Or do you,
I'm good.
can I get a motion for adjournment then?
Since I brought it up,
I'll make a motion, we do.
Okay, Frank makes the motion, Sherry seconds, all in favor?
Great meeting,
Aye.
everyone.
Aye.
All right, so the meeting's adjourned. Our next